Hey folks, welcome back to the Are We There Yet channel. Today we're going to talk about the Harley-Davidson Demo Day at Sonoma County Harley-Davidson. For those of you that don't know what a demo day is in the motorcycle world, it's when, in this case, Harley-Davidson brings a truckload full of their newest models for people to sign up and ride any bike that they want to. So what they do is they typically take you along a pre-planned route that's suitable for riders of all different skill levels that will kind of give you an idea of how the bike will ride. So you have a good idea of what the bike is capable of. All you really need is a motorcycle endorsement and proof of insurance, and they expect you to obey all traffic laws, to ride in a staggered formation. They make this clear at the outset what the expectation is, and everybody just needs to follow rules and just use good judgment. I rode 4 motorcycles today, and they fed us lunch, and overall it was a pretty good experience. I had learned a lot about the motorcycles I had been curious about. So sit back and enjoy the ride. The first bike I tried was the Lowrider ST. A lot of the GoPro images that I got from this were really filmed at a low angle, so I'm going to cut a lot of it out. You won't get a good sense of the route on this one, but I hope you get a good sense of what the bike is capable of. So a lot of times when I was checking out the bikes, the whole time Harley was blasting all kinds of music, which obviously is a copyright infringement. So I had to blank the sound out of a lot of the stuff around the truck. So just bear that in mind. So this model has the 117 cubic inch Milwaukee 8, a new front fairing to provide some wind protection that the old Lowrider S didn't have, saddlebags in the back for some light touring, and the dash display is really compact. Everything is right there in that tiny display. Well, so far this clutch is a lot fucking easier than on my FLH2 electric glide. This is pretty damn light clutch compared to the hydraulic clutch. We are getting ready to go. All in line, all the duckies in line. At this point I didn't realize that the camera angle was that low, so we're going to chop a lot of this out. But you get a good sense of what the cockpit looks like in this thing. About to come to the moment where I figure it out that the camera angle is too low. Can you tell? There it is. Don't move. So this bike is built on the soft tail frame and has mid controls. I prefer the controls to be forward. They were set pretty high because it's a sport bike. They wanted you to be able to get a good lean angle.
Look at that.
It's nice, man. It's simple. It's nice and simple. As you just heard, I kind of found the simplicity of the bike really nice. Not a lot to distract you from the ride, and you could just enjoy the scenery. As you're going to see when you get on the freeway, I at least got to test out the fairing, which they added this year for this model. And it did offer some level of protection from the wind, which is really nice when you do get up on the freeway. We need to get to higher speeds to find out, if it really suited me. I did like it a lot better than the standard Lowrider S that I had tried before. This video cuts out just a few seconds longer while I'm on the freeway. Ultimately, I would definitely buy this bike, and I would definitely install forward controls on it, but it was very, very nice. This is next. The next bike I rode was the Fat Bob, which is a modern iteration of the Fat Boy, characterized by the sort of post-apocalyptic look, which I really like. Now it has the typical Fat Boy wide handlebars, and it has a very comfortable feel. It's got a 114 cubic inch motor and some fat tires on that, and a really interesting exhaust. And the seat looks cool. So let's get into that. Okay, the next ride is the Fat Bob 114. This is Oscar Acosta's ride. If you remember this kid, look at that baby. I'm gonna actually ride it today. Hope you enjoy it. As you probably saw in the previous video, they line everybody up prior to leaving the parking lot. They got somebody blocking traffic so we can all leave as one pack, and that's kind of how it's supposed to go. They have provisions planned in case the pack gets separated, but sometimes weird stuff happens. Weird stuff happened during this ride as far as the pack getting split up. Space between the peg and the shifters are real tight for beats, but the forward position is a lot more comfortable than the Lowrider ST. But the Lowrider ST peg seems to be a lot more substantial than good. Off we go. I'm going to chop the hell out of this ride too, but I'm going to keep the beginning so you can kind of see how the beginning of the ride the route actually was. Now something a little unusual happened at this point. For some reason we lost like the whole back of the ride. There must have been about 6 riders that got separated. Checking back there, and they just went there. There's nobody behind me. There was about 6 or 7 other riders. Now, I don't know why this happened, because we just simply turned out of the driveway. So maybe one of the other riders had a problem right away, right out of the gate. Then the next thing that was unusual.
Well, the mirrors are too damn tight on there.
Sticking out.
We lost half the pack already. I'm not sure what happened.
So then they ran through this light, which they told us explicitly not to do. So me and this other dude, right, now we're separated from the front group.
Already. I don't know. Yeah, they'll come up.
So now we're just going to pull over and wait for the second half of the pack to come. Obviously, we're not going to finish the ride ourselves. And this is kind of pull off and wait. I don't know where the hell they went, because we sat at that stoplight for longer. I just cut it down. So anyway, didn't matter. Got back with the group and finished the ride. So you can see that the cockpit is really pretty simple, wide handlebars. This is a what they refer to as a bob, meaning that they simplify everything. With choppers and things like that, they remove fenders, they remove all kinds of stuff to make it a really simple chop down bike. Harley's not removing fenders or things like that for safety reasons, I'm sure, but they try to make it a simple bike. This one only had just the speedo with the LED screen that had things like gear indicator and also your fuel indicator. But all in all, it's a very simple ride. The mirrors were really too set in, and I couldn't get a clear view behind me. That's one fault I found with it. So I cut off the film here in a little bit, and I definitely regret not getting the freeway portion of the ride, because that's one of the things that really matter when you're riding this motorcycle. If you're planning on taking it on the freeway, it offers absolutely no wind protection. You're getting a full blast of wind in the chest and on the helmet, and some people like that feel. I find it nice for the highway, like we're riding here on Stony Point, but for long term on the highway, I prefer not to get beat up by the wind like that. So overall, I would opt for a motorcycle with a fairing. Okay, and the blocking traffic, and here they come. Sitting out this ride. A lot of different levels and riding skills. All the bikes. You can ride. You can ride. That's a nice bike. She can. Have difficulty. And we're done. There you go. That's how they come out the gate. The third motorcycle I rode was the Nightster, which is the newest iteration of Sportster from Harley. It has the 975 Revolution Max engine in it. And as I said before, most of the footage I got, including just about all of the ride footage, it was the camera was not on. I'm sort of an idiot when it comes to this. I'm just learning how to use the GoPro. Anyhow, I'll include what I have, and I'll make some comments along the way. The bike looks great. It's really low, so for a shorter rider like me, it makes it easier to get your feet on the ground and have a lot of control. I found it very nimble driving around. There is a lack of wind protection when you get up on the highway, but if you're doing an around town bike, this is a great place to start.
Did anybody go over these bikes with you yet?
The start, yes, you did.
All right, so turn the bike on. You pull that little lever. It's the same on that one. This is your starter button on the top.
Okay.
All right. This is your turn signals on the left side, left and right. Press to cancel. This is your mode selector. Your mode selector is down here, and basically that's right there. That's highway mode. We start everybody off in rain mode because we want you to build up and see how it goes. So then there's highway mode, and then you press it one more time and you get sport mode. It's a little bit different on that one there. They're more inside the, I'll show you. Okay. Anyways, you got any questions about that? You start it, it's right there. When you turn that one on, it's all gonna be, like right now it's in sport mode. So you hit...
You put it in rain mode.
There's the rain mode there. Hit it again, there's highway mode, and then there's sport mode, okay?
Okay.
And we encourage you, I mean, there's a big difference in the horsepower as you build your way up. We encourage that.
Okay.
So they started everybody off in rain mode. This bike has 3 modes. The Sportster S that was right beside me has a considerable amount of horsepower, more than this bike. I went through all the modes, and it was a little jerky in the sport mode, but you definitely got more performance and horsepower. I felt the forward riding position just a little uncomfortable if I was going to be doing a longer ride. This is not a touring bike. The saddle was alright, but I wouldn't want to spend all day in it. So once again, if you're doing around town, this would be a good bike, but for $13,500, I think there's a lot of better options out there. Next up is the Road Glide ST. This is Harley listening to its customer base and looking at what people are doing, and there's a trend towards what they call performance baggers. You have the 117 cubic inch in this bike. It's a single seater. You can obviously put a 2-up seat in there and make it a little more of a tourer, but this is meant to be a more performance oriented. This bike rode great. I could ride this bike all day. It was very smooth, very fast, plenty of roll-on speed. There's a lot to love about this motorcycle.
Oh, got the Road Glide ST. Feet firm on the ground. 117. Feels pretty good.
So if you notice the woman on the Softail Slim, that's the blue bike, two bikes ahead of me. She's dragging her feet there. She definitely was an inexperienced rider. She had difficulty maintaining her lane. She really didn't understand the formation. But I give her a lot of credit because she got out there, she rode the motorcycles, she was willing to put herself in a position where she was probably a little uncomfortable. And if she's like me, she had a good time doing it. Notice how the front end comes up when I accelerate. Well, it doesn't really pop a wheelie, but it definitely, you can feel the torque. And this bike has plenty of roll-on power, plenty of acceleration. I felt the riding position very comfortable. It's a tourer, so it had forward position. The seat was comfortable. I think I would probably put a 2-up seat if I was going to ride it for longer distances. It would probably need a more cushiony seat, but I don't know. I'd like to give it a shot for a longer period of time and really put it through its paces. Very comfortable bike to ride. Pulled back handlebars were very comfortable for me, being a shorter rider. I found the suspension to be really nice. I believe it's an upgraded suspension from normal Road Glide or any of the tours, and I think that's in line with trying to make a sports bagger, but it felt really nice. This bike weighs about 845 pounds in operational weight or wet weight with all the fluids and the fuel, but it felt really pretty light, even at a standstill when you're stopping and starting. Now, for some reason, probably because I'm a novice at this camera work, but I do not have a freeway portion to this. The freeway is where this bike lives. This thing can eat miles. Wasn't able to get it up to any serious highway speed, but acceleration, it was planted on the highway. This thing is legitimate tourer. I can imagine riding this thing all day. All right, folks. Some final thoughts here as we're smoking a Consuegra Zavala and sipping on a Kirkland brand hard seltzer. Now, right behind me is the 2020 Electric Glide Standard. So as I sum up today, I rode the Lowrider ST. I rode the Fat Bob. I rode the Nightster, and I rode the Road Glide ST. So they all were very different. They all have positives, they all had negatives, but I must say, if I were to purchase a ride today from Harley-Davidson, it would be the Road Glide ST. It was like butter. On a long drive, you had lots of wind protection. It was smooth. The clutch was easy to manage. That bike was very nice. So, not that I'm planning on giving up the Electric Glide Standard, but if I was, well, I think that that Road Glide ST, well, that was the belle of the ball. So until next time, rock on.